Hi Bookish Babes, welcome to my channel. My name's Marissa, and for my video today, I'll be talking about the 5 best and the 5 worst books that I read in 2024. I'm going to start off with one of the best books I read in 2024, and that would be Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This book, I didn't even know where it was going to take me, and I thought it was going to be a cold case, and that was it. But it actually went through the lives of both of the sisters. Neither of them end up talking to each other for a very long time, and they rekindle, but in a different way than you would expect. One is rich, and the other one is poor, and it just sent me on a whirlwind. I thought they were only going to be trying to solve the murder or disappearance of their sister that's been missing for years, but instead it happens in real time. There's crime going on in real time. And you really don't know where the next turn is going to be. However, I do suggest if you're going to read this to look up some content warnings because this is a very dark book and it's not for everybody. So, for my first book that was the worst in 2024, that would be The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. I don't have it. I'll put a picture here, but I actually DNF'd this book. It was not for me. I got 75 pages in, and I just knew I wasn't vibing with the witchy type book, and there were just a lot of words that didn't need to be said for explanations and adjectives for certain things. So I decided to DNF that one. Another best of 2024 has to be Thank You for Listening from Julia Whalen. And if you enjoy audiobooks, you probably know Julia Whalen as an audiobook narrator, especially for Taylor Jenkins Reid books. I love her style of narration. And when I found out from my friend Emily that she wrote a book and she narrates the whole thing on audio as well with both male and female voices, I had to listen to it. So I decided to pick it up as an audiobook, and I could not have been disappointed at all. This is a romance novel that um, takes place between two audiobook narrators, and neither of them know who the other is. It is just a sweet romance, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. The next worst book of 2024 is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I have never been that into cozy mysteries, and this is also written in a British tone, which made it more difficult to read. There are also like so many different point of views. I gave this book a 2-star. We read it for my other book club that I meet in person every month for. And I did listen to the audiobook. I think that's the only way I would have gotten through this book because I didn't want to sit down and read it for the life of me. So I don't suggest it. A lot of people give it a really high rating, but maybe if you like cozy mysteries, but it was not for me. For another one of my best books of 2024, I would have to say it's House of Flame and Shadow. This book helped connect so many dots when it came to everything for the series, which right now is a trilogy. I can't remember if there's going to be another book of that one, as well as ACOTAR and Throne of Glass. I enjoyed this so much, and I really cannot wait until the next book she has out because I want to see where it's going to go with everything else. But I'm not going to spoil anything because I don't want to do that for people who want to read this book. And if I had to say one thing, I would want to go back and read every single one of her books again for the first time. The next book that I would put on my worst of 2024 is not going to be something that everybody thinks is their worst. But for me, in my opinion, it would be Misery by Stephen King. This book was so hard to get through. I had to read it for my in-person book club, and I just think it wasn't the right Stephen King novel to start off with for his writing style because you're confused for half of the book. And I also never watched the movie, so I really didn't know what was going on with it. This will sound very morbid, but I think the book would have been so much more interesting if we also had Annie's point of view. And I know that she is psycho, but I would have loved to see part of the book from her point of view and not just being all told in Paul's head and his point of view like that. Another book that I decided to read in 2024 on my best list is The In Between by Hadley Vlake. I always suggest this book to everybody because whether you're religious or not, I think it was very eye opening to know, or think at least, that whether you believe in a God or not, you're going to go somewhere and your loved ones are going to meet you when it's time for you to go. This was such an emotional book. I cried a lot of the way through it. But if you know somebody who's been through hospice care, I think it put my mind at ease a lot. But I always suggest this book, and I am going to read a quote that I ended up saving for this because I really enjoyed it and I take it to heart every day. One of her patients ended up dealing with an eating disorder, and because of that, when this patient was starting to pass away on hospice, Hadley also had a eating disorder, and they connected through this. So the quote that this hospice patient said was, "I wish I would have spent more time with my loved ones. I wish I'd eaten the damn cake." I just think that quote hits home for me, and it might hit home for some other people. But just remember, as long as you're with your loved ones, as long as you're living, eat the cake. This next book for my worst of 2024 is Priest by Sierra Simone. I know a lot of people enjoy it, and I enjoy spicy books like this, but I just think for me, I need more plot and not just spice. Because of that, I would say my rating was pretty low for this one. Now, I have heard that the next two are good, so I am going to try those out. But as for Priest, I would not suggest it to very many people unless you just want to read for the spice. If you want to read just for the spice, it's there. For my last best book of 2024, I would have to say the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. I know that's cheating a little bit because it's a whole series, and I will pick one book out of it in just a moment, but I just have to say, I never thought that I would enjoy a cowboy romance. And every one of these books was just amazing. I could not get enough of it. I just wanted to keep reading it. I wish Harvey had his own story, but alas, I have to pick one out of the series. So that would be Heartless, Daddy Cade. Need I say more? For me, I really enjoy Reckless too. That's a lot of people's favorites because of the acts of service from Theo. But I don't think anybody can get better than Daddy Cade. And Willa is just hilarious. I literally cannot wait for her brother's book because I just can't wait to see his personality even more from what we already saw in the other books. I just cannot wait. And I love her writing style. It's just so easy to get through. These are probably my first actual like romances instead of dark romance because I do read quite a bit of dark romance. I want to get into that more, but I have to pick Heartless. Daddy Cade and Willa. Ah, I just could not get enough. And the last of my worst books of 2024 has to be The Girl from Jakarta by Hester Keegan. This is another book that we read for my in person book club. It's about a girl who is from Indonesia, as well as she's half English, because her family also lives in London and Indonesia. And she goes for soccer, professional soccer. She is a wonderful soccer player, and because of that, she does get put in with an all men's soccer team. Most of the soccer teams are only men, minus a couple that have like one woman in them. And it just seemed very unbelievable to me because they accepted her so easily. And in other sports novels like this, you would have turmoil or some conflict in that team with her being a woman and it being unheard of at this point to have a woman playing on a men's league. And I know it's fiction, but it also seemed very choppy and like it was translated, so it was a little more difficult to read and get into. But it wasn't the worst book I read. I did enjoy some of it, especially learning a little bit more about soccer, but I would not suggest it to everybody. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and leave a heart and a book stack emoji in the comments. And please give me any suggestions that you might have for 2025 because I will be doing multiple different challenges and I need some book recommendations. All right, thanks for watching. Bye!